I'm Luke Beard.
I'm Kris Green.
I'm Riley Gunter.
And I'm Nash Rainey.
And we are the Backups. All right, let's kick into the FIBA World Cup. I've been saying it all along. Team USA are going to be the winners of this thing. And you know what? I was dead wrong. We ended up 4th place, not medaling, losing to Germany in the semifinals. And then Canada with an amazing performance by none other than?
Dylan Brooks running around like he popped, but,
What do you have, 40 points? A 40-point game from Dylan Brooks or something along the lines.
Yeah, LeBron saw that and was like, yeah, I gotta come back and play next year. And
This Olympic team is going to be amazing, though. We've seen interest from Durant, Curry, LeBron, Tatum, Anthony Davis.
KD, I think, too.
Just a ton of players.
Kind of got to give it to Dylan Brooks. Like, he's just assembled the Avengers accidentally.
He the villain, man. I got to give it to him. He the villain.
I got to give it to Germany, though. I mean, Dennis Schroeder, the MVP of the whole thing, he's a fantastic player. And he was in his NBA career. We don't see much of him as much in his career now after that whole incident with not accepting that big Lakers deal. It feels like he hasn't really been able to land anywhere. But I feel like after this World Cup, he kind of showed his value to a team in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
It was, I think we can all just kind of admit together we were all pretty wrong. I mean, we were coming in saying, yeah, the U.S. lost in the earlier in, but this is the United States. We don't really lose at basketball all that much. And then I guess, Steve Kerr wanted to prove me wrong. And, and then we followed up with losing in the bronze medal game, like against Canada. Like, it's frustrating. And it's the cycle of U.S. basketball. And, the greatest of all time, LeBron James, will be back next summer. And I think we'll see a much better performance in the Olympics, which is hopefully what we'll see. Yeah,
it feels like we're going back to a dream team era where we're just going to assemble a bunch of superstars to actually, win it and prove that we're still the dominant powerhouse of basketball.
Yeah.
Got to give it to Serbia, too, though. I've said it. Those Eastern European countries are something to deal with. They are fantastic in basketball. You see, like the Slovenias, the Serbias, just all of those teams in that just area are really good now.
Yeah. They
have these guys go to the NBA from, Latvia has players. Serbia, Slovenia, we've already mentioned. Russia has players. It feels like it kind of came when, I guess the appearance of a guy like a Tony Kukoc in the 90s kind of helped bring them to that level, but it's increased more and more recently with all the players coming from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, let's move on to college football. So we saw Utah beat Baylor. Any takeaways from that game?
I mean, basically, it's just Utah played well, and they did what they need to do is just keep winning the games like these. Obviously, there's going to be tougher matchups ahead. So, and also on the other side of it, Baylor's had probably the worst start to the season they could probably have. I mean, losing to Texas State to open and then losing to Utah by 7. It's just this is a Baylor team that was much better week 3 a few years ago. And it's just. It's an opposite side of it where one team is having a very good start and the other team is having a terrible start to their season.
I mean, with the Pac-12's kind of rolling in college football right now, do I want to say it's my fault? Yes. I put all that hate towards them last year, and now they're actively playing good. I think I deserve a thank you note from the commissioner, but that's just me, personally.
I will say Utah did not perform as I expected them to after their Week 1 win against Florida. They did not look as good as they did in Week 1. They were trailing most of the game. I thought Dave Aranda's team did a very good job of keeping it together. He was the former defensive coordinator at LSU, of course. And he showed a lot of defensive prowess until the end of that game where Utah, it felt like they just ran down the field and scored. And there wasn't much you could do about it. Utah has a lot of talent. They have a really high ceiling, but they have to play better than they did to continue this momentum they have pushing forward.
Yeah.
And then we saw Oregon defeat Texas Tech. Didn't come as a shocker to me. We saw Texas Tech lose to Wyoming Week 1.
Yeah.
Yet another game, though, where I feel like it was closer than it should have been.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 is obviously beating opponents from, like the Big 10, Big 12. They're doing better than those divisions are currently, or those conferences are against each other. But still, these are kind of wins that need to be bigger.
Yeah.
These are two of the premier teams in the Pac-12, inching over two of the what appears to be lower-seeded teams in the Big 12 this season.
Yeah, no, you definitely, obviously, it's a bit of a two-parter or a two-sider of, on one hand, they are winning, and they're maintaining some momentum, but, you want to see more than a one-score victory over a team that, I love the Wyoming Cowboys, but losing to Wyoming as Texas Tech, you shouldn't be going the next week and giving Oregon a game, especially considering their aspirations and where they want to be at the end of the season.
Right.
I mean, personally, I got to feel for Texas Tech fans. A lot of people had them as dark horses going into the season, and then them losing like 2 close games. That kind of
Just not to start you.
yeah, not the best way to start off your season.
Colorado has continued their role. I mean, this team is going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
They have Colorado State coming up this week, game day.
Yep.
I'm expecting a big Colorado win there. And then I can't remember exactly the order they have, but it's Oregon, USC.
Yeah, they play Oregon first and then USC next week.
Those are going to be 2 of the premier matchups for college football to see what, Coach Sanders' team can really do against these top programs. And I think they have a good shot in both of those games.
I feel like that USC game is going to be a Heisman battle between Caleb Williams and Shedeur. That's going to somewhat maybe potentially determine who the Heisman may be.
I think that obviously a Heisman battle. I think could also dictate a lot going towards the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's about a mid-season matchup now. So I mean, with that, if Colorado can beat both Oregon and USC, I see them as a playoff team.
Yeah.
I already see the potential there. They have a lot of really good athletes. If they can win those 2 games, I think, as long as barring any upsets that, of course, happen in college football, we see it all the time. I think if they win those 2 games, they will be in the playoffs.
I think I agree. It's definitely, especially with how a lot of people viewed them going in, I think there was kind of this mix of you had a lot of hype, maybe not a lot of belief. I mean, I didn't really believe in this Colorado team that much. So if they can continue the momentum and win their first 5, especially against big ranked teams like Oregon and USC, that'll absolutely be a case for the playoff, especially considering in the games they have played really well against some stronger teams. Maybe not the best in college football, but definitely no one to scoff at.
I mean, you got to give it to Shedeur. I think he's averaging 451 yards passing in both games, and this is, because I didn't really follow him at Jackson State at all, but he's insane on the field.
Yeah. It's something that I always knew that he could do. It's just a matter of him proving it to the world that he can play on a high level of college football.
Yeah, I followed him a bit in high school, and just even in high school, you could tell he was going to be a star as long as he brought himself to that main spotlight, and he has done that with his father, of course. And you mentioned, they haven't played the highest tiers of college football. They did beat the runner-up in the national championship last year. Obviously, they don't have the same players they had last year. Very different team.
But it's still
lost
a big win.
Coordinators, lost coaches.
Yeah.
Still a very good team, though.
Yeah.
In Colorado, they picked them apart on defense.
Yeah.
There's no other way of putting it. They just picked them apart, and then they held their own, and they look great. So it's going to be hard beating this Colorado team. We had Ole Miss beat Tulane. It was a barn burner for a little bit, very close game. I feel like the loss of Michael Pratt really hurts Tulane.
Yeah.
He is one of the probably top 10 quarterbacks in college football right now, and losing him going into a big game like this is really going to hurt your season.
Yeah, especially, on the other side of it, Ole Miss played a pretty good game. Obviously, Ole Miss always, it feels like, considering that they're in the SEC and they're not the best SEC team, you always have this narrative of they'll win 8-9 games and they'll be in the mid-20s, maybe the high 10s when they get ranked. So beating a ranked Tulane, even at 24, I think it was, is still a good enough statement win, especially considering they were down 10 at one point. That's the kind of wins you want to have early in the season before you're playing your big SEC teams later on.
Yeah.
It's just disappointing as a Tulane fan, back to what Luke said about their quarterback being out of the game, because I feel like that's, with him in the game, I feel like it's a completely different game on offense.
Yeah.
I agree.
We saw Michael Penix Jr. continue to do what he does. It feels like the quarterback race, the Heisman race, is a quarterback race with Pac-12 quarterbacks. It just doesn't feel really close with anyone else outside of it.
The great words of RG3, big Penix energy. He's insane on the field. I think he's right behind Shedeur on averaging passing yards in these past 2 games, and he's just amazing to watch on the field. It's just
really just excited for the later Pac-12 games when we see Washington play a bit of a bigger team. Obviously, still great performances by Michael Penix, #Penix Energy, but, he hasn't played as big of opponents as some other teams. So I like what I'm seeing, and I'm really just excited to see what he'll do, 4 or 5 weeks down the line when they're playing one of their bigger, one of those big Pac-12 teams that could make or break their conference play.
And realistically, we knew Penix was come into the season. He started off hard last season, started off strong. What?
Yeah. No, I would definitely say that of all of the many Heisman candidates, Penix has definitely been coming in hard and strong. And it's just, it's the kind of thing you want to see out of your Heisman hopeful quarterback candidate.
But in all seriousness, I do think Penix, he's legit like a fantastic player. He is one of the better college quarterbacks I've seen in my life. He just does everything so well. He can move, he can pass, he has a huge arm. And I could really see him succeeding in the NFL. Like, he is someone that I think 10, 15 years down the line, people will be like, oh, did you remember him in college? Like, because he will be such a prime player in the NFL that people will like care about.
Yeah, no, he's putting forth a very good image of himself.
We had a great game, similar to their game last year, UNC App State. Last year it was what? Like a 150-point game or something crazy. This season, 40-34 in double overtime. What a game. I got to see glimpses, but
it's just nice to see that it's like a competitive game both times. Like, it's right. I think I kind of want to see this game every year because it's been so close both times. It's like Drake May, of course, he's going to put up great stats in these games. Of course, these are the games people are going to talk about when he goes towards his like Heisman race. Yeah. It's just great to see. Great college football.
I mean, yeah, it's been two exciting matchups, and especially considering, I mean, it was. You think UNC, who just beat South Carolina in a neutral site game, you think they're going to come in and beat this Group of 5 team. They learned from last year. They're going to play better this year. And App State still giving them a game. Didn't win this time, but absolutely showed that they are not a team to overlook. Definitely one of the better Group of 5 teams.
I could definitely see them moving Power 5 at some point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if they end up in the ACC, them and maybe in Eastern Carolina or something.
Yeah, if they're sticking with teams like UNC, they definitely could be a
They deserve a spot.
Yeah.
Oh, we saw Washington State beat Wisconsin. Washington State was a team coming into this season I thought was a little bit of a dark horse. I thought they looked good. They have a complete roster. And Wisconsin's another team that I saw a lot of people really high on coming into the season. They were really praising Wisconsin. And I feel like Wisconsin's a team that's always kind of tricky because they always have these super talented players, but they can never seem to get it together in big games. And I feel like that's what happened this game. Washington State just came in and won.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially with this game, this felt more like a win, and the significance of that win came really from what's going on outside of off the field. Like Washington State, they've been kind of hurt by all this conference realignment. They don't have any specific. They're not going to the Big 10 or Big 12 or ACC next year, so they're obviously the program itself is suffering, and for them to still play well and still show a strong image of themselves is really like just indicative of what a strong program that is, and it's upsetting a ranked team is impressive.
Yeah. They feel very similar to Oregon State this year.
Yeah.
That they will cause problems and they'll show that they deserve to be somewhere. They deserve to be a big time player still.
Yeah.
We saw Texas upset Bama, and what an upset that was. Quinn Ewers. When I said it's an all Pac-12 Heisman race, he's the exception to me. He is just fantastic.
Yeah.
This kid can throw the ball like no one else. He knows his receivers. I felt like last year they didn't really have a guy. And this year they have, was it Adai Mitchell?
Yeah, Adai, I believe. Yeah.
I mean, he's crazy. Yeah. He's ridiculous. Quinn Ewers was throwing perfect balls to him. He was catching everything. It felt like Bama didn't have a guy who could stop him.
Yeah, no, especially since watching this game live, I was thinking, they're in Alabama, they're at Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban's going to do what he always does. He's going to get these team together, and they're going to come back, and they're going to win. And it's going to be Texas almost beat them. And I kept expecting that to happen. I kept expecting Alabama to score a touchdown, and then they get some sort of sack or pick. But that just didn't happen.
Yeah, Texas just took it out, took it away.
That's a huge win. I mean, Texas, obviously last year they competed pretty well until Quinn Ewers went down. Yeah. This year they had him for the whole game. And to go into Tuscaloosa, into probably one of the most hostile environments in college football, and win by 10.
Yeah.
Especially over Nick Saban. That's an incredible win. That's the kind of win that it's lifted them into the playoff conversation.
Yeah, you don't see teams do that often.
That's a rare thing. I think on Twitter it was Nick Saban rarely had. I don't think he has more than 15 at-home losses, if that. Yeah. It's more close to 10.
Going off what you said about him being hurt, he got hurt, of course, last year in the game. That kind of affected Texas. I think Quinn Ewers is one of those players that when he's on the field, he makes everyone else better around him. Yeah. I'm going to relate to Trevor Lawrence. When he got COVID, he was out for the Notre Dame game, and we lost Notre Dame. fast forward to the playoff. No, it was the ACC championship. Fast forward, he played, and we just dominated Notre Dame. I think he has that same type of energy that just makes the entirety of the team better when playing.
I definitely can see that.
Yeah.
And I believe Coach Sarkisian, Steve Sarkisian, was the third Nick Saban assistant to ever beat him. It was Jimbo Fisher, Kirby Smart, and now Sark, which is just that's a crazy coaching tree to have. I mean, there's obviously so many other coaches Saban has under him, guys like Kiffin.
Yeah.
Or I believe Michigan State's coach, is it Mel Tucker? I believe Mel Tucker was also with Alabama at some point. So he has a great coaching tree around him.
Yeah.
And then we saw Clemson bring it back, a win against Charleston Southern, 66-17. It just did not look great first half. I'll put it.
I'll say first quarter Cade is probably the biggest thing to worry about because then he finally settles in. I mean, I just want to go back to his pick six that he had. If you look at the receivers that were open at the time, he should have been able to get it off. I don't want to talk too bad about him, but I think he's a first-read quarterback, and I hope he cleans it up this next game. Otherwise, if you look at the other half of the game, he played very good.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 356 passing yards, somewhere in that area. Still really great performance by him, besides those few mess-ups in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was really a tale of two halves with this team. I mean, going into half, especially as someone who was on the hill during that game, people were not happy. I mean, we're up 7 against Charleston Southern, and especially with the loss to Duke, it's just and then they get the ball starting the second half, we shut them down, we drive down the field, we score, and then we got that pick six, and then basically as soon as the second half kickoff went off,
Game was over.
It was our game, and I think that's it speaks to Dabo Swinney's ability to coach a team on the field, and especially with all the narratives and stuff, and obviously that doesn't change anything. It doesn't, there's still conversation to be had about the transfer portal or whatever, but specifically this game, Charleston Southern had 73 total yards. The defense truly only really gave up 3 points, considering all the turnovers and everything, and Clemson had 33 more first downs. We started off slowly, and we finished very, very strong. We looked like a Clemson team that was playing. We looked like a Clemson team from a few years ago, which is what you want to see before we, obviously we face FAU this week, so that's another game to kind of build up. And it inspires a bit more confidence for games like the FSU.
Yeah.
It's like looking at the score. Yes, Charleston Southern did score 17 points, but like you were saying, they really only scored 3. I mean, that first touchdown, the defense got put in a bad position. It was first and goal, and then, of course, the second touchdown was a pick six. And it was just a bad spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we showed flashes of being a good team, which is I'm happy that we did. But, just we can't keep having bad first halves. I feel like that's gonna cost us more games in the future. We just gotta start off strong, a little bit stronger in the future.
Yeah, we definitely have to limit mistakes.
Yeah.
It feels like making a mistake like that against a UNC and Notre Dame and FSU, that will ruin the whole game.
Yeah.
It's hard to come back in college football.
Yeah.
And you see teams do it, but it's hard to come back against a great team.
Yeah.
And those 3 teams are good, if not great teams already.
Also, it's a little early talking about the Florida State game being a 12 o'clock noon kickoff game. Statistically, Cade Klubnik has never lost as a starter during the day. At night, way different story, but
During the day, it's a different story.
Reverse Batman, he only comes out during the day.
Yep.
Yeah. No. So kind of speaking about football more, we able to watch the first week of NFL football. A lot to talk about, a lot of narratives. Some wins for some teams and losses for others. First off, a team that I was doubting, Detroit Lions, won 21-20 over the Chiefs in the Chiefs' home stadium when they were doing their banner game to show off their Super Bowl win. How do we feel about that?
The Detroit Lions MVP, Kadarius Toney. That's all I really got to say.
I texted my dad before this game. He was asking me and my brother who we thought would win. And I said, without Travis Kelce, I think the Lions have it. And I'm very glad I made that pick because the Lions look very good.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are a lot of drops on the Chiefs. If you clean that up, it could be a different game. But still, this Lions team is they're not a joke. Yeah. They're not like what Kris thought they would be. They're serious. This is a serious team. And I do think I was a little wrong on my NFC North predictions. I still think the Lions are up towards the top. I think Vikings and Packers are in a similar situation. And I think the Bears are now towards the bottom after seeing, them get dismantled. But this Lions team is they're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, these guys love playing for Dan Campbell. And it's easy to tell why. He is such just a boost of energy. And he has so much fun with these guys, it seems. And, Jared Goff even, he's undefeated against Patrick Mahomes. He has had 2 great games in primetime with Patrick Mahomes. So it feels like Jared Goff is starting to shine.
Yeah.
He's showing why he was the number 1 pick.
Yeah, the Lions, they cool. They all right. They just, they just haven't shown me enough that's just telling me that they're just going to be like a big threat. Because, they only beat the Chiefs by 1 point without Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and, Kadarius Toney making a few key drops. But they all right, though. They showed me some flashes that they could be a pretty good team this year, though. They look cool. They look cool.
And Jahmyr Gibbs, I will say, he looks great.
Yeah,
whenever he touches
like
that
him.
ball, something's going to happen. And he gets yards.
Yeah,
He'll
he
pick him
reminds me
up.
of like a prime Marshawn Lynch kind of.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I like him.
We saw the Browns just dismantle the Bengals. Deshaun Watson had a great game. Joe Burrow had a horrible game on the other side. T. Higgins didn't even catch a ball. He lost me a fantasy game, I believe, actually. But the Bengals looked terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way of putting it. They did not look like they wanted to win that game. Jamar Chase called the Browns a bunch of elves.
And
then he said they lost to a bunch of elves.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would just stop calling them elves at this point. You got dismantled by a bunch of grown men.
Like, I respect talking trash when you're down, but you got to stand on that too.
He did stand on it.
Yeah, he stood on it.
And he will keep standing on it.
Yeah, he stood on it. He just got to back it up. That's what I meant to say.
And the big Bengals have had, I guess, unsuccesses against the Browns recently. They haven't seemed to be able to beat the Browns.
Yeah, I believe like Joe Burrow, like 1-5 against the Browns.
I believe so, yeah. It feels like the Browns have their number.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Browns could be a good team this year. If Deshaun continues playing at a high level, they could be a playoff team, could potentially win the division.
And I know Deshaun played a little bit last year, but I'm glad to see him again playing good football. I mean, he's got some controversy behind him, we'll get into, but I'm just glad to see him back out there.
Moving on, we had the Ravens play the Texans, 25-9 win for the Ravens. I mean, I didn't watch too much of this game. This is pretty, it was par for the course of what I was expecting. Obviously, the Texans are still kind of a young, rebuilding team. I don't imagine they're going to be, firing out the gate as week 1. So really just pretty standard there.
I will say the scoreboard is a little bit further away than the game felt. It felt like the Texans had a chance for a little bit there. Lamar did not play his best game.
Didn't play well.
However, I expect him to bounce back.
Yeah. Buccaneers beating the Vikings 2017. I was definitely surprised. I mean, the Buccaneers have really never been a good team ever. If you forget about the past few years of football, so.
And the early 2000s.
Yeah, in the early 2000s when they were Super Bowl champs. Forget about that, then they're just never really a good team. But
forget that they're the second greatest team in NFC South history.
But yeah, in this game against the Vikings, obviously the Vikings won a lot of close games last year and were maybe a little bit more inflated than they should have been, but they were still a solid enough team, and I really didn't imagine this Buccaneers team coming away with a win, so impressive for them.
I was impressed by Baker Mayfield too.
Yeah, last week I said I didn't want to be a fan of a football team that had Baker Mayfield as starting quarterback. I apologize.
Yeah, Baker.
Another bad take on my end.
Yeah, I feel like that system for Baker Mayfield fits him well for his play style, it looks like.
I feel like Baker's a guy who he can come in and win you some games.
Yeah.
He likes to win. He's a personality and he has an ego, but I think it's a good ego that helps inflate the team around you. I think the Buccaneers, they do have a chance to be good. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they end up as a maybe 11-6-ish team, especially after winning over the Vikings.
And consider the fact they played 6 games against NFC South opponents.
Yeah, it could be.
Kind of free win there.
It depends.
Some of them.
Yeah,
Some
depending on who they play.
I feel like NFC South is still very much a toss-up coming into this one. The Falcons, they decimated the Panthers. There's no other way to put it. The game was close for a little bit towards the beginning, and then it felt like the second half the Falcons pulled away. Desmond Ridder played fine. I felt like he did what the Falcons wanted him to do. The running game really helped, boost the Falcons. Tyler Algier looks great. Bijan Robinson looks great. Cordero Patterson's injured. However, I expect him to fit in that running game very well. I think the Falcons have a good chance to win the NFC South this year. That's not even biased. I just feel like the NFC South is so wide open, that so many teams have a chance to just take it.
Yeah. As a Panthers fan, that was a tough but not surprising one. I mean, to be honest, this has basically been Panthers football since 2018, where you see some bright flashes, and you're thinking, oh, maybe we got something. Maybe this is our year. Maybe we'll win more than 6 games. And then, reality comes back at you, and then you remember this is the Panthers, and, it hasn't been good since Cam got hurt. And, just I would say pretty much trademark Panthers football. I mean, it's kind of surprising how we can change the coach and quarterback, and nothing changes.
Bryce Young has just got to see over that O-line, man. Once he grows a few inches, it's all good.
And Bryce Young, excuse me. And Bryce Young did show some flashes. He showed some he had some good balls. But then he also threw, 2 picks. He had a fumble that he did dive on, which it was good to see him put his body on the line to, stay in the game. I thought Brian Burns looked great. He looks fantastic. He is one of the best defensive players in the NFL to me. But it felt like the Panthers just need a little more. And I'm not sure what it is they need. Maybe it's discipline, or maybe it's obviously you don't want to create as many turnovers, but that's something that's going to happen. It's football. You have to be able to recover from that. It just felt like their offense didn't have that kick they had towards the beginning of the game.
Elaborating on what I was saying earlier, it's similar to classic Panthers football where our O-line maybe wasn't the greatest, and really just our playmakers aren't, losing DJ Moore in the offseason wasn't great. I mean, obviously love Bryce Young since Alabama. Everyone's been saying that guy's got some great balls, but that just, that doesn't speak for everything else. So just really hope they can develop a bit more and play a bit better later in the season. But Commanders won 20-16 over the Cardinals. Barely, but I mean,
win is a win. That's the type of score you expect out of those two teams.
Yeah, I hear Commanders, Cardinals, 2016. I mean, it's just a terrible team. Jaguars won 31-21 over the Colts. I mean, great win for the Jags, 10 points.
Anthony Richardson looked fantastic.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson did look very, very good, and Trevor Lawrence had some really well-placed throws in that game. So, good one there. 49ers beat the Steelers 30-7. I mean, obviously,
if you look up Brock Purdy's name, they got to change his jersey to the back of it saying HIM, because he is him on the field. Coming back from an injury, playing great. Brandon Ayuk played great. Christian McCaffrey played great. It was a great win for the 49ers.
Yeah, the Niners do look very good. They are showing why they're a Super Bowl contender. Steelers looked a lot worse than I thought they were going to coming into the season, but I feel like that could just because they got stuck playing the Niners.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
The Saints squeak one out over the Titans. That was a game.
Yeah.
MVP of the game, Ryan Tannehill right there throwing 3 interceptions. MVP of the game. Clap it up for the donkey of the day, man. Round of applause.
Yeah, it was not a great game. It was a game. Derek Carr gets his first one in the Saints uniform. Good for the Saints. Michael Thomas is playing again, so it's good to see that.
Yeah, good to see Slant Boy back.
Got to stop. Raiders beat the Broncos, another very close game. I expected more out of Sean Payton's team. Expected a lot more out of the offense, and they did show me what I thought they would. I thought Jimmy Garoppolo looked fine, and the Raiders looked fine. I wasn't shocked by them winning. I was just more shocked by the Broncos not having more, oomph. They didn't push it like I thought they would.
Yeah.
Especially with that defense they have. Holding them to 17, you have to.
And then the kicker missing 4 points, shaving 4 points off.
Yeah.
Cost him the game, too.
Yeah. The Eagles and Patriots, also a close game. Patriots look much better than I thought they would.
Yeah.
And the Eagles looked fine in the game. It just the Patriots also looked really good.
Looked good.
Mac Jones looked good.
Back. I mean, they almost came back pretty much.
I would say that it was surprising, too, because the Eagles were playing better, but that second half, they really couldn't find the end zone. It was just, they kicked a bunch of field goals, which is, they won the game and they performed well, but, a bit surprising, I would say, from both sides. I was envisioning a much bigger win for the Eagles and maybe less of a performance for the Patriots, but they proved me wrong.
Rams dismantled the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks weren't the team we thought they were coming in. The Rams are much better than we thought. They have a good young team, a young core. I think they could be really good in the future.
Matt Stafford went.
Yeah, Matt Stafford is still a very good quarterback. He can still do a lot for your team. Don't count them out. The Dolphins, I mean, it feels like the Dolphins just kind of, they don't lose to the Chargers. I feel like everyone is always talking about, Justin Herbert, and he was in that draft class with Tua, and they're always talking about, he's a better quarterback than him, but he can't seem to get over Tua. He can't beat him. And I feel like it's a mixture of the teams around them. Obviously, Tyreek Hill had MVP numbers.
Yes,
He's
sir, yeah.
definitely up towards that top spot right now in the MVP race. And, I mean, Justin Herbert played great, but that's a high-scoring game. You have to, at some point, fall back on your defense.
Yeah.
And it felt like neither team could do that today.
Yeah.
Packers, I mean, dismantled the Bears. Wasn't close, Kris. I'll let you talk about this
As
one.
always, like I said last week, it's the Bears. I mean, we still own them. I mean, not much to say that Jordan Love proved the doubters wrong. He kind of proved me wrong a little bit because I wouldn't say proved me wrong. I just didn't know, but he proved me wrong. Had a good game, you know. Still the Bears. We own them.
Still the Bears. Going into an even more embarrassing loss, the Cowboys destroying the Giants 40-0. I know Riley was happy. I mean, that is just the kind of thing where, you know, that's like a college football win where it's a FBS team playing, you know, some FCS team no one's heard of. Like, there's a professional organization that went out there and just got destroyed.
By their rival. This is their rival in their home stadium on primetime television.
Queen
and you
Latifah
get
performed the national anthem and everything.
But you get embarrassed by the Dallas Cowboys, who are the most watched team in football.
Yeah.
You know you're going to be the main stage, and you let them do that to you. I don't know what the Giants were doing here. I thought, I'm still big on this Giants team. I think Brian Daboll is a great coach. I think Daniel Jones will be fine. The protection was lacking.
Yeah, they got to get that offensive line in check.
Yeah, it felt like Micah Parsons dominated the whole game, though, and
so
that front just
That Cowboys
absolutely
defense
killed
was
Daniel
absolutely
Jones.
great, and their first touchdown was the blocked field goal kick. It was like I remember watching it, just like the defense got over the line so fast. I was amazed, and you know, good win for the Cowboys, but a really good look for their defense.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jets with a bit of a mellow win over the Bills. They lose Aaron Rodgers within the first 4 plays of the game. He's out for the season with a torn Achilles. Get a big win against a division rival, but at what cost is kind of what it shows. I saw, I believe it was David Bakhtiari, mention the turf and how it always messes with these NFL players, and he's not very happy about it. Obviously, Rodgers was his quarterback forever.
Yeah.
So it sucks seeing when the greatest quarterbacks of all time potentially go out with an Achilles tear.
That possibly could be his last snap.
His last snap could be 4 games into a game. He didn't even get a chance to complete a pass.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah, very strange game too, considering like Aaron Rodgers went down and I thought that was it. But the Bills really just couldn't play a complete game. They were committing way too many turnovers.
Josh Allen
making too many
threw 3
mistakes.
interceptions
The same
to
person.
the same guy.
Yeah,
And
when you
then-
do that, you can't expect to win the
You
game.
think they get to overtime, the Bills get the ball first, you're thinking, okay, this is where they kind of pull it back together, pull it back in and win. Then they punt. Jets offense didn't even need to use the field. Win off a punt return touchdown. Like, that's just a very surprising victory and a bit unexpected but kind of in the, a bit not as valuable now that they've lost basically their number 1 guy going.
Yeah.
I just feel for Jets fans because, I was even hyped for this Jets team.
Me too.
And I'm not even a big Jets fan at all, but it's just seeing Aaron Rodgers, go to a different team for once because he's been at Green Bay majority of his career.
Yeah.
But it's sad to see that he's out, and then now they have to deal with Zach Wilson again.
All right, let's move to overtime. Kris, I know you have something you're really excited to talk about.
Well, yeah, Israel Adesanya, he lost his belt again in the span of a year. It's disappointing to how he lost because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even watch the fight because I was confident that he was gonna win. And then my friend texted me telling me that Sean Strickland just dominated like the whole fight. The only round that he did good in was like the second round, I believe. I'm gonna go rewatch it after this, but it's just disappointing. And I feel like Israel should take some time off and figure out how to improve and just let the middleweight division just go on, let it flow, and come back and improve and win that belt back.
Riley?
And on to mine, just going back to soccer, we have international break going on right now, which means, the U.S. men's national team is playing, absolutely dominated Uzbekistan, didn't even know Uzbekistan had a soccer team, and it's good to see that we're gonna be a good team going into this World Cup.
And then switching over to the world of tennis, I'm not much of a tennis fan, but in the Coco Gauff, 19-year-old American, won the U.S. Open this past weekend, and it's just, especially considering the match itself, Coco lost the first set and came back in the next 2. An impressive win for someone our age and just something you love to see for American tennis players as a whole. So just impressive to watch.
And then Novak Djokovic is the greatest player I've ever seen play tennis. Greatest tennis player of all time. He has dominated tennis. He has 24 Grand Slams, which is absolutely ridiculous when you actually look at it. He's beaten, the Federers. He's beaten Andy Murray. I'm forgetting someone here who's just Nadal, Rafael Nadal. And he's just so dominant when he does it. He beat Medvedev, who feels like, kind of the next guy up, but it's so hard to get over Djokovic. And Medvedev has done it before. And, guys like Alcaraz, who beat Djokovic in the last Grand Slam, couldn't even get there now. Novak Djokovic is someone who a lot of people hate. A lot of people do not like Novak Djokovic, whether it's because he's dominant or, people don't like his personality, whatever it is. I have so much respect for this guy, though, because he has dominated this sport for who knows how long now. It's like Tom Brady, where it's just you are at the peak of your career for so long. Or, in golf terms, it's like a Tiger Woods kind of run where you span such a long time as the top guy.
Yeah.
And that's what Novak Djokovic is for tennis. I think that's all we have. Anyone have anything else? Anything fun? Of course not. All right. We will see y'all next week. Thank you for watching.